And now, Professor Thorgi presents a quick recap of Season 2 of The Flash. This has been a quick recap of Season 2 of The Flash. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Thorgi's Theories, the theory show where I just spout random gibberish and hope it all makes sense. And right now, the Flash TV series isn't just creating some of the best action and stories we've seen in a comic book adaptation, it's also keeping viewers coming back for more with one of the most intense mysteries in the series' history. Who is Zoom? Now, Zoom has turned Barry's life upside down, completely taking him apart and beating him so badly I have no idea how they got that on TV. So with a threat this big, the mystery behind who he is even bigger. Now, before I go any further, I should say that there will be spoilers for Season 1 and Season 2 in this video, so if you haven't watched The Flash, then what do you care who Zoom is? Also go watch The Flash, it's really good. So good. Also, I'd like to apologize for all the still images I'm going to be using throughout this episode. In case you guys haven't heard, the little friendly robot that scans YouTube for copywritten material has kind of gone nuts over the past few weeks, with several channels losing their services for practically nothing. So I'm not going to take any risk, so get used to spending the next 10 minutes staring into the eyes of this one picture of Jesse Martin. I'm just kidding, I will actually change the picture, but my point remains. YouTube robot, chill the fudge down, we're all just here to have fun, okay? Alright, now let's start off by examining what we know about Zoom. He comes from the alternate reality of Earth 2, has an obsession with killing other speedsters, and has been in business for roughly 2 years. He's also immensely faster than Barry, and can even take a speedster's, speed away to make himself faster. Now, there are many things to take into account with discovering Zoom's identity. There are countless possible suspects, and in this video, we're going to go through all of them until we can come to a conclusion. We're going to weed through every single one of these candidates, and we won't leave a single stone unturned until it's one of these two. Don't get me wrong, almost all of these candidates have a chance of being Zoom, but only 2 of them actually feel right. But in the interest of answering several of the questions I know I'd receive in the comments if I didn't do this, let's go ahead and quickly go over some of these candidates. Don't get me wrong, it's totally possible that Zoom could be a totally new character, but honestly, this would be kinda lazy. I mean, they built up this big mystery and then he just turns out to be someone new? How many Scooby-Doo episodes do you remember where they found the villain at the end, pulled off their mask, and said, "Gasp! It's old man, actually I don't know who you are, or why you're doing this." Jay Garrick. Now, Jay doesn't seem like a strong candidate for Zoom, considering that, well, honestly, there's so many reasons it can't be Jay, there's no way I could list them all, but in the comics, Jay has had his own speedster rival called, Rival? Seriously? Wow, we really have run out of names, haven't we? Now, the argument a lot of people are making is that we have yet to see Jay and Zoom together in this world, so it could be that they combine the concept of Rival with Jay to make Zoom an evil side to him, but that's just way too complicated, and honestly, last season Barry had a mentor who turned out to be an evil speedster. Why would you do the exact same thing again for Season 2? Speaking of Jay, like I said, this video contains spoilers for all the episodes that have aired so far, so if you aren't fully caught up, then you might want to tune out now. Okay, it was recently revealed that Jay Garrick's Earth 1 counterpart was adopted as a child and was raised with the name Hunter Zolomon, who in the comics actually was Zoom. So he's a counterpart to an Earth 2 speedster, which might give him a connection to the Speed Force. He was Zoom in the comics, and from what we've seen, a lot of the Earth 1 and Earth 2 counterparts seem to follow the traditional good and evil swap archetype, so I could see Zolomon turning out to be evil, except there's one big problem with this theory, which is how the heck would he have gotten to Earth 2 and terrorized that dimension for 2 years to begin with? That's a pretty big plot hole left to fill, and until they give me some evidence to fill it with, I'm not putting him on this list. Not to mention, was I the only one who, when they saw Hunter Zolomon, instantly thought, well, there's our Season 3 villain, Earth 2 Eobard Thawne. This one just doesn't make sense. Eobard Thawne came from the future, but he went back in time to the present to stop Barry before he could become the Flash. But if Barry isn't the Flash in Earth 2, then why would Eobard have come back in time to become Zoom in the present? Or did he just happen to be born decades earlier in Earth 2 for no reason? You know what? This one makes no sense and it's giving me a headache. Let's just move on to the next one. Earth 2 Joe West. Now, having Barry's adopted father figure, who is always there to give him words of encouragement, turn out to be the villain would indeed be a shocking twist and a punch in the emotional gut. But honestly, there's been nothing so far this season to imply it. So if this is where this story is going, well, then they're not really doing a great job of setting it up, and the twist will seem like it's coming out of nowhere. Plus, aside from having a really cool deep voice, there's no similarities between these characters. Earth 2 Wally West. Mild spoiler for probably nobody, but Iris's long-lost brother Wally in the comics ends up becoming a speedster as well, and eventually even becomes the Flash himself. So when he showed up, pretty much everyone shouted in unison, Kid Flash is coming! Kid Flash is coming, everybody! Oh my goodness! Alright, everybody be cool, it's happening! So there's a theory that Zoom could turn out to be an adult Wally from Earth 2, and Barry will stop Zoom and then realize that Wally could become a villain if he ends up going down the wrong path, and that's going to be the reason why the Flash will end up helping Wally out, and they become friends after that, and that's why Wally ends up becoming a hero in the future. But come on, man, we just met Wally, and you're going to instantly make him a villain? I call foul play, DC. Plus, nobody else on Earth 2 is a different age than their Earth 1 counterparts, so did Wally on Earth 2 just go through a growth spurt that his Earth 1 counterpart didn't go through? There's just too many questions about this theory. Earth 2 Henry Allen. Now, this was my #1 contender for Zoom for a while, partly because all of Season 1 was leading up to Barry trying to get his dad out of prison. Then he got him out, and he immediately left. So having his long-lost dad return as the face of his villain would certainly be a big drama bomb, but also because the people who work on Flash are honest-to-goodness Flash fans. That's why they cast John Wesley Shipp, the actor who played the Flash in the 90s Flash TV show, to play his dad. It was a tribute to his time in the red suit. So, if they could get him back in there as another speedster, that would be an even greater nod to the fans. However, like I said, this would be a huge emotional punch, mostly because Henry left at the beginning of the season and we hadn't seen him since. At least that's what I was saying up until the Guerrilla Warfare episode when he did return, so that kinda took the wind out of this theory. Don't get me wrong, it would still have an effect, but it no longer feels like this whole season was leading up to them doing that, so I no longer have the confidence in this theory like I used to. So that brings us to the two big contenders for Zoom's identity, and the most obvious one would have to be Earth 2 Barry Allen. Promos for upcoming episodes show that we will indeed be introduced to the Earth 2 Barry, and it does look like his life will be taking a different path. And as I said, there are several examples of characters from Earth 2 being the spiritual opposite of their Earth 1 counterparts. Earth 2 Linda Park is a villain, Earth 2 Harrison Wells is a jerk with a darkness inside of him, while the Earth 1 Harrison Wells was a pretty nice guy, up until Thawne killed him and replaced him. And it's already been revealed that we're going to see the evil Earth 2 versions of two of Barry's best friends in upcoming episodes. I mean, come on, is this Earth 2 or Earth 3? Am I right? Yeah, that guy knows what I'm talking about. So is it any stretch to say that Earth 2 Barry would be evil as well? I mean, looking at these images, I'll admit he doesn't really look evil. He looks more reserved and shy and nerdy, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know. There's something about the Flash TV show that makes me think it's possible that an evil speedster could go undercover with a secret identity as a nerdy scientist so that way he could gain secret information to help him in his evil ways. I don't know, is that an exact thing that we've already seen on this show? I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Not to mention, we've already gotten a clue to Earth 2 Barry being on the wrong side of the law in the Season 1 finale when Barry was running through the Speed Force and he saw glimpses of the future, but now we realize it wasn't just the future but also alternate realities, including a shot of Killer Frost from Earth 2, and one of those shots was of Barry in prison. And on this season, Zoom hasn't given us a lot to be able to decipher his secret identity, but there was one line he said that really stuck out to me.
Never forget, I fastest man alive.
My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
Now, it is possible that he said that just to taunt Barry, but it's also possible that that catchphrase is something that stuck with Barry from one dimension to the next. That could be one of the traits that both dimensions share. So looking at all this, I'd be willing to say that Barry is indeed another evil alternate reality character, but why did he turn evil? In order to understand why Barry would become Zoom, we have to understand why this Earth 2 Barry would turn to the dark side. Now, at this point, everything I'm about to say is pure speculation, but let's be honest, how is that different from the rest of this video? But what if on Earth 2, Barry suffered the same fate that he did in Earth 1, and he lost his mother or someone else important to him? Now, on Earth 1, when he lost his mother, it drove him to work with the police so he could catch the killer. But what if on Earth 2, he realized upon seeing Jay Garrick that it could be possible to use the Speed Force to go back in time to save his mother, just like he did on Earth 1. However, in order to do that, he would need more speed, and that's why he has been going around stealing the speed of other speedsters in order to increase his own power. That's why he had to come to Earth 1 to find another speedster, because he still wasn't fast enough and he needed more power. This would mirror Barry's own journey and his struggle with fighting between the light and the dark inside of himself. And honestly, that's my biggest reason for picking him, because the whole theme of Season 2 has been Barry struggling with his decisions, with his past, and with his urge to go over the edge. From the very start of this season, Barry has talked about how he still has so much anger inside of himself over what the Reverse Flash did. And then when he finally faced the Reverse Flash a few episodes ago, yeah, he started to lose control. He was overwhelmed with his hatred.
This war between us, it ends now.
Bear, you gotta stop. Bear, don't kill him, just bring him in.
So just speaking from the story point of view, if this whole season had been building towards that peak of Barry facing his dark evil self, that version of him that had actually embraced his anger rather than trying to fight against it, that would actually make a ton of sense. So after 2 whole seasons of struggling with this could be the thing that finally convinces Barry that he has to let that anger go, because he's now seen what will happen to him if he holds on to it. So yes, if I had to place a safe bet on this, I'd say it has to be Barry, end of story. At least it would be the end of the story if this was a regular theory video. But oh no, this is a Thorgi's Theories. And on Thorgi's Theories, I've always got the one regular theory, and then I've got the crazy theory. And the crazy theory for this video is Eddie Thawne. Okay, now I know that you might be thinking, that's not crazy. Everybody out there is guessing it's Earth 2 Eddie Thawne. And you're right, everybody is guessing it's Earth 2 Eddie Thawne. But, I never said anything about Earth 2. Oh no, I mean Earth 1 Eddie. But didn't he die, you might be asking? And yes, he did. At the end of Season 1, he sacrificed himself to erase his future timeline, thereby removing his descendant Eobard, aka the Reverse Flash, from history. That would kind of imply that the odds of him being Zoom are pretty small, right? Oh, people. This is a comic book adaptation. You should know that dead doesn't really mean dead. And if you're a Flash fan, then you know that anyone with the last name Thawne is pretty much destined to be a thorn in the side of an Allen, and the two families are practically engaged in a never-ending struggle throughout every generation. Also, if you have the last name Thawne, you're also pretty much destined to keep coming back to life. Plus, his death has been brought up several times this season, so they've made sure to keep that storyline in everyone's mind, almost as if they're building to something. Now, let's examine how this could be possible. How could he come back to life? Simple. He didn't. When Eddie killed himself, it caused the Reverse Flash's body to fade away as the singularity wormhole big science word thing grew over the city, and it sucked Eddie's body into it. Okay, here's my first point of interest. Why was it important to suck Eddie's body into that wormhole? They could have let him die there on Earth 1 and bury his body, and just speaking from the angle of the show developer, that would have been way cheaper. But no. They decided to spend the money to animate his body being sucked into the wormhole. There has to be a reason why they did that. Somebody wrote down in the script, Eddie is sucked into the wormhole, and they didn't do that just because they thought it would look neat. So there's already the fact that they put that in the script for a reason. But before I go any further, let me bring up something about Zoom's design. In the comics, his costume is really no different from the Reverse Flash. But on the show, what color is Zoom's costume? Very good, class. So he's a Flash with a black costume. Almost like a Black Flash. Oh, I'm sorry, I just realized that most of you don't know what I'm talking about. Let me explain. His costume closely resembles that of the Black Flash from the comics, and the Black Flash is not an actual speedster, he is Death incarnate. The Black Flash is part of the Speed Force and is basically the Grim Reaper for speedsters. He is a mysterious figure that only appears right before a speedster dies, and it is a force that cannot be escaped, and when it catches a speedster, it returns them to the Speed Force. Yeah, he's super creepy. Now, with that in mind, let's examine this again. The Reverse Flash, a character connected to the Speed Force, was erased from existence as a wormhole opened, and Eddie's dead body was then sucked into that wormhole. I don't think it's any kind of a stretch to say that Eddie's body could have been touched by the Speed Force as it was sucked in and reawakened him into a twisted version of himself, possibly overcome by the hatred and anger of the Reverse Flash himself, merging it with Eddie's own aggression towards Barry. And considering that the Reverse Flash could use the Speed Force to go back in time, it's not a stretch to say that the Speed Force Eddie was touched with didn't just send him to Earth 2, but back in time as well so that he could then spend years tormenting the characters on this new world. Or perhaps after arriving in Earth 2, Eddie then tried to use the Speed Force to return home, but it just sent him back in time instead. This theory would explain his hatred for the speedsters, his hatred for Barry most of all, why his body was morphed and manipulated. I mean, look at that mouth, and he's got claws for crying out loud. And if they're going with the Black Flash theory, then it would explain why he could steal speedsters' powers. If he was now a Grim Reaper of the Speed Force, then of course he could cut their ties to their power. So, taking all of this into consideration, I know it sounds crazy, but I fully believe that Eddie, as the Black Flash, is the best candidate for Zoom. But I could be wrong, so let me know in the comments down below who you think Zoom is. Also, if you like this video and you want to see more fun geeky stuff from me, whether it be theories, top 10s, reviews, or more, then click on that subscribe button. And make sure you share this video all around the web. It's the best way to help out this channel. You guys have been doing that a lot lately, and I really appreciate it. And also, I have a feeling like they're going to reveal Zoom's identity any day now, so if you could share it right away, that'd be awesome. And if you want to see another theory video from me, then go ahead and click right here to see my theory about who exactly Rey is from the new Star Wars film. And if you want to see some more Flash stuff from me, well then click here to see my review of the Season 1 finale. Thanks again for watching, and come back again, because next time on Thorgi's Theories...